Welcome to episode 1 of the Inside Real Estate Podcast. So basically, I'm here with Rob Lawrence of the Rob Lawrence team with VRA Realty. And basically the idea behind why I wanted to start this podcast is to bring in, we work with a ton of realtors. I wanted to bring in people that I know are doing a good job. And I know, some agents, good or, no matter how good they are, there's always something that they can learn and add to their business.
Sure.
And I want to bring in people that I know are doing good things, pick their brain a little bit, and hopefully offer some value to the other people that are watching the
I'm excited.
the content.
I'm excited to hear you interview other agents and see what I can gain from them.
Yeah.
It's there's so much to learn in this business.
Yep.
It's a constant
Absolutely.
evolution.
So just to give the audience a heads up, so we're going to be talking a little bit about Rob's background. He's running a really good team right now, so he's going to talk a little bit about how he set that up.
Thank you. I love our team. I'm like super.
Dude, I'm excited. I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
I know Rob is puts a lot of value in keeping himself in shape. And I think that not a lot of people put enough of that into, like, that should be, in my opinion, because I totally agree with you, it should be part of people's business, taking care of themselves.
Yeah.
I think, when we get, we're not in the busiest part of the year yet, but when we are, if I'm not keeping myself in shape, it's hard to keep running at that pace.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We're going to talk about real estate investing. Rob is very good at that. And a little bit about marketing, because I know Rob is very big on marketing for his business. And we'll also get his outlook on the market for 2024. So with that said, Rob, take a few minutes and tell us a little bit about yourself and your business. And
Sure. Yeah. So I'm married. I have 3 young kids, 6 months, 2.5, and 4. I got a fantastic partner, which is great, Marie, and really supportive. And she's just been involved in the business in both the investing side and helping me really get started. She got me my first client, actually.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so I've lived in Westchester most of my life. I grew up here from like 6 to 18, went to Cornell University for mechanical and aerospace engineering, and then I got recruited to Jersey. I started selling industrial machinery. I got into engineering, and then they were just like, go to the sales department. You're a salesman. You talk way too much to, just be.
I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, playing with a computer all day. So I liked it. I wanted to always be an entrepreneur. I love building things too. So it was just sort of like this mix of things that I was applying in engineering, and I sold industrial machinery for about 12 years. Final 5 years, I was trying to work for my dad, try to transition to leading that company, but that didn't really work out. I don't think it just wasn't in the cards, and along the way, I ran across a podcast from Rich Dad Poor Dad. And then I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is all about, real estate investing. And then I decided to get my real estate license. And then it took me over a year before I got my first deal done after getting my license, over a year. So that was really challenging. I joined the brokerage when it was sort of in its infancy. I was the 17th agent. Now I think we're like 110 agents. But, it's been a really cool journey, to get to this point for sure.
Awesome. No. I mean, I've known you probably a little over a year now,
yeah,
right? And
yeah.
we've seen you evolve in that short amount of time. It's exciting to watch.
Yeah.
I remember, for those people that don't know, I started this business with my father in 2006, right? And back when they were still putting listings in newspapers, we were gotten the old 360 virtual tours, like I guess the predecessor, you could say, to like Matterport, things like that.
Yeah.
And had no idea what I was doing. But I got the bright idea that, I have all these tools to market a property. Why don't I get my real estate license? So that was right as everything tanked in 07, 08. So I got a good taste of the business, doing both of them simultaneously then. And this business took off first, liked it doing that more, but I like being part of the industry. So I ended up putting the being a realtor aside. But what that time
I'm glad, man. I think you'd be kicking my butt.
Well, the thing that having my license really paid off with was that I was able to get the behind the scenes look into what you guys do. So it actually helped us tailor what we do with this business to what you guys do in yours.
Yeah.
So it was really beneficial there. And I think, being able to speak the language and being around it, and it's been a good thing.
Absolutely. I love working with you guys. You guys do all my video shoots. You've been helping me make media. You've been coaching me to how to be better on video, doing short content as well. So I really appreciate our partnership.
No, I mean, we're looking forward to kicking some butt this year.
Yeah.
So let's go back to you mentioned that it was like a year before you closed your first deal.
Yeah, it was.
So for a lot of people, like I remember I was in an Uber fairly recently, and the Uber driver was telling me that they were thinking about getting their license. And the one thing that I said to them, I said, you better love selling houses or homes and whatnot, because everybody thinks they're just going to get this license and they're just going to get these big fat checks.
Yeah.
And it's just not like that. So tell me about like what did you do, for somebody that's potentially getting into the industry, or still hasn't, got their feet off the ground yet. What did you do to get to that point of getting your first deal? Like, what was your process and the things you were doing?
Well, so I was still working full time for my dad as an engineer, doing sales engineering and marketing. And so at least I wasn't starving. So that was good. I think otherwise I would have been in real trouble. But I just kept trying to put myself out there on social media and trying to connect with different friends that, wanted to buy or sell. And I just kept losing over and over again. It was really frustrating. I was really angry, and I was just like, oh, like this person won't use me and that person won't use me. But there was also some probably inner insecurity that I had about, I don't know what I'm doing, mm-hmm. And it's sort of a mix of that. And then my friends Tara and Joe were trying to buy a house, and they had another realtor that they got connected with, but wasn't really that strong of a connection. And the other realtor really dropped the ball on a house that they wanted. And they decided to give me a shot. So that was, I got licensed October 2017, probably in like September or October, they decided to let me be their buyer's agent. And I did that. And we found a great house in Westchester, and we made a great deal, and they were super happy. And it was a great experience. It was definitely like a reinforcing experience. And then my other friend, Matt Gibbons, I was living with him because I had gone through a divorce. I lived with him for a little while. And then anyway, he's just a great friend. And I knew his house really well because I had lived in it. And he let me have the opportunity to sell it. So that was my first listing that came shortly thereafter. And then I connected with an investor. And I think the investor actually thought I was someone else. This is a funny thing. He thought I was a different guy named Rob that was like doing way better than me. And he
probably worked out in your favor.
Yeah, it did. This is the secrets of how I got started. But and also I listed the houses for like a very low commission for him as well. And I did 5 listings with him before the relationship didn't work out. But so it was just kind of clawing and scraping. I don't recommend what I did. I don't think what I did was the right thing. It's what, part of my process is good, and part of it is hard for a lot of people because I'm like extremely persistent. I love learning, I love experimenting, and I like trying things. So I kind of find my own way, but I do everything a little bit the hard way, I would say. Yeah. And for a lot of people, that might just end in disaster, and they don't succeed at all because they just, it's just not the way that's good for them. So a lot of people, I would say most people, I had like another guy approach me, actually a client that I helped move to Florida, sold his house. He was like, wow, you were just a great agent. Like, give me advice. And I said, like, join a team. That
seems to be the words of wisdom from a lot of people right now is to join a team. I didn't join a team. Yeah. So I was with a company. I don't want to be trashing any companies. Now I do,
sure.
The company that I was with, the one thing that they tried to do was this mentor program. Right. Mm-hmm. And, they set us up with an agent who was doing business in the office, and it was good in theory, but these agents are out there kicking butt. They didn't want to be bothered. But the one thing was that every time we would get a deal, they would get a piece of my commission, right?
Sure.
But But I felt like every time I was asking questions, either they weren't available or they weren't giving me the answer I needed. So I ended up just saying, screw it. Like I'm exiting this program and just kind of like, it's not rocket science. That's the one thing that I've learned. It's like the same things that the coaches were saying back, 07, 08, when I had my license back then, same thing they're saying now. There's not a shortcut to just getting out there and doing it. Right.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, once they get their real estate license on paper, you know more than the general public, but you really don't know anything until you actually start doing it. And I'm sure you would agree. There's, you sold however many houses. How many houses have you sold so far in your career?
Oh, I don't know. Probably between like 150 and 200. Okay. I would say at this point.
And would you say that you're still learning on every deal?
Like, most of them. Yeah. I would say like it's always my goal, and it's one of the three things of like what makes my team my team. One's create client success, one's continuously improve, and the other is gratefulness and gratitude. So those three things are pillars, but I take the continuous improvement thing really seriously. Sometimes it's hard for me to be criticized or hear critical comments from a client when I'm trying so hard, because I do really try to give it my all. But I always feel like, oh, I didn't know that one little thing. I could have done that little thing differently. I could have said something different here. Like I didn't communicate as well as I should have. So I'm always kind of trying to improve.
Sure. And that's the way I am. I tell my team, I said, it's like micro improvements. Just, even if the task you're doing doesn't require you to make these leaps in improvement, just find something for your own benefit, personal growth, and also for, the betterment of the team. Just find something that you can be like, what if I did it this way or whatever, and work it out. And then you'll make those leaps. But I guess the one where I was getting at with that was like, the first time you deal with a stucco issue is the first time you deal with a stucco issue. First time you deal with asbestos, first time you deal with asbestos. So there's probably issues you haven't run into yet in your career, potentially, that the first time you deal with that, it's like, even if it's not something that really caused you a problem, but it's still, you're learning something on every deal. Two identical houses in the same neighborhood, everything's the same price, whatever. The difference could be the egos on either side of the deal, right? So you're learning how to deal with people in different ways as you go along. It could be the identical houses, and one has this issue, one has that issue. I mean, no two transactions will be the same.
That's true. I mean, real estate is extremely complex, and I think that's why, like, if you can be 10% better as a real estate agent than the next person, like, you can do, double the business of that person, because it's just like all these little things, like how are you helping the client through all these challenges that arise, or helping them succeed at the highest level possible. So like, I think that's really like what I'm focused on, is like, how can I be my best so that I can make the best possible outcome for them and have them have the best possible experience. And, I think those two things, like, obviously I love making money.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I do those things, I will have tons of clients and I will make money.
Right. And it's everybody thinks realtors just want to, make this money and they don't care about anything. But like, really, if you're not doing a good job for your clients, if you're not winning for your clients, you're not making that money. So it's actually in a realtor's best interest to do a good job for the clients. And I think that's something that people need to understand.
Yeah, sadly that can get lost. I mean, so much of the training is about how to market yourself and how to get clients and do this. And then it's like, okay, but like, how do you be a great realtor for that person? And I feel like that's where maybe the training lacks and the education lacks. And I think that's why many people are frustrated with the real estate industry in general, and hear a lot of people bashing real estate agents and things like that, because they feel like they're just trying to collect the check and they weren't helpful, weren't responsive, didn't take it seriously, weren't professional. So anyway, I mean, I'm just excited about like, the success we keep having is great. And I think that's because we're trying to bring a high level of professionalism to the experience.
Dude, you're speaking my language. All right. So before we move on to the next thing, 3 things that you would say for somebody getting started in the industry, if you had to do it over again, knowing what you know now, what would you say to yourself?
I would say get around the right people. That's why I joined VRA. It's because I knew like Steve Seymour was the right guy to be around, because I wanted to learn about real estate investing. I would say join a team, and join the right team where you really feel like it's the right kind of fit for you, and their style is in line with who you are and what you want to do. You may want to have another source of income while you get started, which is counter to a lot of advice that I hear.
100%. I was just going to say that. Yep.
Because desperate people don't make money. If someone feels like you're desperate to close them on a house, you're not going to close them on a house. You need to be acting in the best interest of that person. And if you're going to not pay your mortgage and you need to get someone into the wrong house, one, you're going to not do it. And two, you're going to lose the client. So I think just having that financial stability to get yourself through the gap in terms of, your skill set, because money in real estate's like 90 days out, at least. So like what you're doing today, maybe you get paid in 90 days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe.
Volunteer work to get to the settlement table.
Exactly. Exactly. It's all volunteer till you actually close something. And that requires skill set and everything else. Now, if you join a team, that may come faster, or, like I said, for me, it was over a year out before it happened for me. So, I don't know. I'm big on I don't like really like super high pressure, put myself in a situation where like I'm going to fail out because I didn't give myself enough time to learn and enough time to succeed. I think success is about persistence, but if you can't persist because you just have to go make money doing something, like then, it makes it tough. So anyway, that's my recommendation.
How big's your team now?
We have 8 people.
Okay.
Including myself.
So a lot of people don't have a team, right? There's a lot of people that are very successful as solo agents, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
But there are benefits to having a team, but it's not easy to do. I have one client of mine who has attempted to build a team for years and just never finds the right people. They don't stay. In my opinion, I think that's some level of a revolving door, something that's to be expected from a team.
Sure.
But if you find people that are aligned with you and will help you achieve what you are looking to do for the time that they're with you, I think that everybody wins, even if they don't stay for the long term. So I guess talk about why you decided to start a team, what you did to begin that process, and then maybe some things you've learned and where you're at now. Just kind of tell us the vision.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So we've got 8 awesome team members. I'm including myself in both those number and the statement. But no, I mean, it's been really good. It got started I was a solo agent and I was just getting more overwhelmed because I was getting more and more transactions happening. And, you're kind of like when you're a solo agent, you don't have maybe a transaction coordinator yet or anything. Like you're just kind of trying to do everything, wear every hat. And then once you start stacking up transactions, it becomes harder. And a woman in our brokerage, Tracy, she wanted to invest in real estate, but she really didn't know how to write an offer yet. And she asked me to start writing offers for her for investment properties she was interested in. She said, hey, if you ever need any help with anything, I was like, actually, I do need help. Can I pay you to go do this thing? Because she's a licensed agent. And then she's like, yeah. And then I started saying, well, hey, maybe help me with this buyer. And then, oh, hey, maybe you can help me with this transaction. And then she kind of grew into our transaction coordinator and buyer's agent and started doing stuff with that. And then there was another team that sort of had a young agent come on a little bit later. Maybe this is like a year and a half later, Patrick, and their team kind of decided to disband. And I heard Patrick was great. So I called him up and he was like, yeah, this would work out great for both of us. I'd love to be on your team. And I was like, I'd love to have you, so he's worked out. He's been on the team now 2 years. And I think, he's 24 and really succeeding. Yeah. So that's really awesome. And then there was Scott. He was thinking about sort of transitioning his business, a little bit older, guy and, kind of thinking about retirement, but like not really ready to retire. So he's transitioned into my team beginning of this year. And then I just was getting, outside of just the transaction coordination, I was getting more overwhelmed with just trying to do so much, as we're doing 40 transactions a year, and this year was 65 transactions. it just became like, I can't do all these Facebook posts. I can't make sure I'm coordinating all these events we do. We do investor meetup and all that stuff. So then I made the leap to hire Jesse as my first like real employee, which like stressed me out.
Why?
Because like I am responsible for someone's salary, and if I don't perform now, there's someone I would have to let go of. So I don't know. It just felt like a step forward that was really hard for me to take for whatever reason, just like emotionally. But I did, and now I'm just like fine with it. So he's doing great, and it's totally fine. And then, just more recently, there was a guy, Zach, I met on Bigger Pockets. I helped him do like basically a live-in flip that went really well. Then he's done another flip right now, which is going to go really well. And sold a house for him. And we just kept connecting. And he just kind of, decided to get his real estate license and join the team. And then there was 2 other agents that were kind of looking to join the team, and just took on 3 more. So, Gigi and Jean-Marie. So both very talented in their own ways, and they're going to be helping with different silos in the business.
Do you think, what you've been doing kind of inspired some of these people a little bit, kind of getting them a little fired up to want to join a team like yours? Because a lot of people are just looking for a job. A lot of agents jump from team to team because they, think they're going to just get deals handed to them, but it's not, done right. Probably shouldn't be that way.
Yeah. I mean, I was never on a team, and I like never even really read like a handbook on how to run a team. And I don't really know anything about how anyone else does it. But when I have an agent come to me, I want to just get to know them, understand their strengths and weaknesses, and then design a plan and a strategy around what they're great at. Do you love going to parties? Okay, great. Like, let's make going to parties part of your strategy. Right?
Yeah.
Like, do you hate cold calling? Great. We're not going to put you on cold calling. Right. Yeah. Oh, I do enjoy calling. Okay. Or I have had success with calling, or it's something I'm willing to do. So I think it's about just seeing people for who they are and what they're really great at, and then encouraging that. Yeah. I think like if someone feels like you're really listening to them and really trying to care about them as a person and figure out how they can succeed in the easiest and best way possible, where they're going to be like just putting forth who they are authentically, I think that's great. Like that's how they're going to succeed in the long term. They're going to develop as a person. But it's like,
I think that's somewhat unique. I mean, I think that's how people, regardless of industry, should probably be approaching things in a lot of ways. Yeah. But I don't think that's usually how it goes on a lot of teams. Now, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So,
and they're very successful teams. So it's like, what do I know?
Yeah, it's true. But maybe you're building, you say you didn't get the handbook. So maybe you're creating something that the world hasn't seen yet.
I don't know. I don't know.
But let me ask you this. So one issue that I hear from people as to one reason they have a hard time starting a team is that in some cases they're having to part ways with the amount that they're making per transaction as they're creating systems and adding pieces and all that type of thing. They, like, hey, I have to give a cut or whatever it would be, or make a little less here.
Sure.
But now the wise mentality says, okay, I'm giving a little here, but it's giving me more bandwidth and giving me the ability to grow. But what do you say to people who maybe are thinking that, are not willing to it? Like, is it worth it to be able to give yourself the ability to grow?
Yeah. I again, I think this comes back to financial stability of your business and of yourself personally. So it's like, oh, hey, I need to like make $400,000 a year to maintain my lifestyle, and I can't make $300,000 this year because then, my lifestyle falls apart. Right. So, and then you kind of become greedy and you hoard, right? Well, I can't give that client away to that person, because then I'll only get half of it or whatever. Right. So, like I said, like the generosity and gratitude part is a big part of what my team is about. And that starts with me. So how can I be like generous to the other people around me, and grateful that they're there. Yep. That's 2 things that I think are super important. And did that mean that I took a step back in income for a year? Yes, I did. In 2022, I took a step back. I made probably income wise, maybe a third less, 33% less, and probably my expenses went up. So I probably made half of what I made the year before because of that. But then this past year, it went way back up again. And I can see with the team that I have now that it could really grow exponentially, especially as my systems and processes improve and I'm able to take on more agents and help more people and make our team even better. So I think it's an investment is the best way to look at it, right? I've invested
I like that.
a year of time and money into that. But it's not that calculated is the truth.
Coming from the engineer.
It's not. It's just like, I was just like, oh, like these people want me to help them. And, they might, I don't know, say these people, but like, my it's just like, it's just genuine. Like they just came to me and wanted help. And I was like, you're cool. Let's do it. Let's see how I can help you. I know what struggle I went through to get to where I am. And it's like, well, can I make that a little bit easier and help them succeed at a high level and help them realize their goals and dreams. So anyway, I think I stay less focused on the money and more focused on the outcomes that I want to see. And I genuinely like love and care about the people and then just try to make it work for them. And, not every teammate has worked out. I've had a couple that didn't work out and that's okay. I mean,
but you learned along that way too, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if learned is even a thing. It was just like, okay, like this wasn't the right fit. And, okay, like no big deal. Like go on your merry way. I'll go on my merry way. We're not angry at each other. We're still friends and friendly and everything. Yep. So it's just like, okay, like different energies I think will attract and repel. So if like, if you say your energy is with my energy and then it's not, then it just doesn't work. And then it just repels.
Yeah. So I think you find that it's, that you're having, some good success building your team. Would you say it's for everybody to build a team?
I don't think it is for everybody. Just like ice skating's not for everybody or management's not for everybody. Some people are great salespeople and poor managers. And I don't even think that I'm that good of a manager. I'm more of like, my team says like, oh, you're the visionary or whatever, or the leader, right? I think that's where I'm really more like I can create a vision for strategy for people and like who they're going to become and what, those kinds of things. I think that's where my strengths lie. But not everybody is geared that way. So I think in life, it's important to experiment with something and see if you like it or not. And if you don't like it and that's not where your skills and talents lie, then why force something on yourself that's not for you? But if it is, then you'll kind of know because you'll be like, I really enjoy this. Right. And I think maybe people get caught up in like, I want to have a team because I think this is a way to make more money and step out of production. Yeah. Right. I think that's like the dream that I hear people say, oh, like I don't want to have to do any actual work. It's like, no, like that is not my intention at all with starting a team. It was just like, oh, like I like empowering these people and working with them is fun. And I enjoy having other people around that we're working together on common goals. And like, that just all clicked for me in terms of just like, I did genuinely enjoy having a team. Like I smile around everybody. It's like, it's joyful. So if it's not that for you, there's other ways to go make money in this world than doing something that you don't enjoy. Or you can just be a solo agent and make great money. I mean, I know, great solo agents that do really, really well for themselves. And everyone goes, well, why don't you do a team? Why don't you do a team? And the person's like, well, everything's working out great for me right now. Why are you trying to screw it up?
It's what do you want? What do you want to do?
And and that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with not having a team. But I think the funny part is too, it's like, oh, like I want to have this team so I don't have to do real estate anymore. And it's like, that is such a backward concept. Just go do something else with your life.
Everybody's always looking for a way to not do work, and it's unbelievable to me. Now there's ways to work smarter and come up with new goals, but I think that people like you're hungry, but you're going about things in a really good way. And I think somebody who's not in the real estate industry that has built a successful business will look at what you're doing and you're kind of doing things the right way. I think a lot of people would say, at least, do you know everything? Are you on the top of the mountain yet? No. And I'm sure you'd probably say that also, but you're moving in a good direction and, mindset, attitude, and I think your strategy is working.
Yeah, and I would have to say too, a huge part of that is coaching, right? I get as many good coaches in many different areas as I possibly can. Like I consider you a coach in how I'm doing media, how I'm speaking, and I actively encourage you to coach me, around those things so I can get better. And I know that I'm not as good as I can be. And I have a coach around my life coach, Ed Fordyce. He's great. My Tom Ferry coach, Fred Doliak, he's fantastic. The EOA entrepreneur organization that I'm a part of that teaches me how to be a leader. And Scott Darling, who's, sitting in my office and sharing his 33 years of experience with me, all my teammates just bouncing stuff off, it's just like, and Steve Seymour on the investing side, for sure. And just like helping straighten out sometimes when my thinking's not correct. So
sometimes. I'm just kidding.
Oh, you got jokes. I'm just saying, like, the reason that looking like I know so much about what I'm doing is just like try to find somebody that knows better than I know and listen and try to implement. And I'm not always great at listening, and I'm trying to get better at that too, but just like trying to learn from people. And, you might say, Rob, get on TikTok. And I'm like, oh, I don't like TikTok, and I might resist it for a couple months. Then I get on TikTok, then it succeeds, then it's like, but that's how I am.
No, it's, I'm the same way, but, no, I think that's good. And, I hope you keep moving in the direction you're moving. It's awesome to see.
Thanks, man.
So let's move on to one that's, big for me also, and I think it's big for you too. I want to talk about like fitness.
Sure.
And I think you make that a big point for yourself personally. You did just hire Mr. Olympia. And I think so talk about the importance of fitness to yourself, number one, and then how it impacts and or benefits your business.
Yeah. I read The Miracle Morning, I don't know, a bunch of years back. It's a great book, to check out.
But check that out.
Yeah, it talks about just basically taking the first hour of your day and putting a routine in place to kind of center yourself. And I do like a Bible study, a gratitude practice, and I work out every morning. And when I work out, it might not be that I'm killing myself every morning. Like I did a yoga this morning, and I'm in the sauna, and then maybe I'm lifting weights, and maybe I'm running that day, or maybe I'm not. I kind of hate running, but really, like for me, that's about one, taking care of my physical self, because that's the platform everything's operating on, right? Like my body, like I must feel like my body is like a thing I exist in. You know what I mean? Like, and I've got a
skin suit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like my being is in there, so like. I've got to make sure I take some time to treat it right, and also just get my mindset right spiritually and mentally every morning, because like that's setting the tone. And it's not a discipline is one of the things that I want to impress upon people. It's a thing I get to do. I get to have that hour in the morning. My wife is gracious in allowing me to do that, by taking care of the kids in the morning and stuff. But it's like something I'm enjoying doing. And I'm like, oh, like I feel a little more physically fit, or I feel like I healed an injury that I had for a long time, or, whatever it is that I feel good about, or I feel relaxed because I did the yoga thing this morning. So whatever I need that day, and some, mixing, like I said, prayer and Bible study and gratitude practice and all that stuff to really like get my mind in the right space. Because I think when people hire you, they're kind of putting you in as their champion, they're putting you in the ring, right?
Yep.
And it's like, if you're like, well, they don't want to put somebody in who's like overweight and not taking care of themselves, not in the right mindset, because that's a huge thing, is mindset in this game. Because people are like, well, interest rates are high, can't buy a house. It's too competitive, can't buy a house. Interest rates are too low, can't buy a house. The weather's too bad, can't buy a house. Can't sell a house, can't do this, can't do that. And it's like, if you hire a can't agent, well, you're not going to succeed. So who wants to hire that person? Right. So it's like, my mindset is me. It is my product, really. Yeah.
No, that's a good way to look at it. We started with fitness and you went to mindset. That's huge. I like that. I like that a lot. I think one thing that I've been talking to my team about, and I think it's going to be a big focus this year, is let's have a solution oriented mindset. I think one of the things that I find as a business owner is probably my number one role is a firefighter. There's always something going on, and you can't just look away and do that because
Sure.
it's going to affect a lot of things. So it's like, okay, even if it's the smallest thing, it's like, let's find a way to fix this or improve this, or, it's just going to make, it's whether it's setting a new system or it's just figuring out something.
Yeah. I mean, like, and the reason I switched to mindset when I'm talking about fitness is like fitness is part of mindset, right? Like if you don't feel good, like physically, like it's so hard. Like when you have like your legs broken, it's like really hard to be in a good mood, like whatever.
I mean, you look at all those people who have like bad backs. I mean, it's one of the most debilitating things you can deal with, right? And if you can do something that can either repair or mitigate that from happening in the first place, which, taking care of your body is a big deal.
Yeah.
And it can and will definitely affect your mindset.
And back pain can be a lot of times maybe like too much stress built up that they're, not getting out and working out. I don't know. I'm thinking about joining Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu right now because that's one of the things I want to try. So just keep pushing it forward,
Let me know. Let's do a roll.
Yeah. Do you do that?
No, but we both have a wrestling background.
I know. I miss wrestling. I miss the fighting.
I
I think also it's like if you do something hard, like you run a couple miles at a high pace that really pushes you, everything else through the day is easier. And like you said, there's a lot of challenges that come up in business and that we have to overcome them. And if you don't have that fortitude internally and you just try to like put your head in the sand and like, I don't want to deal with this, that's the agent not answering their phone, not communicating, the client's freaking out, all that kind of stuff. So it's like, you need to be the rock, you need to be the one that takes action.
Yeah, 100%. No, I totally agree. So just because I think it's awesome and cracks me up sometimes. So can we bring Zach into this for a minute and what it's like working out with that guy?
Zach is a beast. I mean, for those who don't know Zach, maybe we can flash a clip of one of his
Jake,
videos.
throw that up there.
Yeah, one of these videos we do with him. But yeah, he's like 250 pounds of steel. And everywhere he goes, like people just like approach him or like are staring at him or whatever, so he's definitely like an unusual person.
You hear that, Zach?
Yeah, but in a great way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I said, like everybody on my team has like is like unusual in a good way. Like they have certain talents, and I like people that are extraordinary in different areas. Extraordinary is a better word.
Yes.
I like that. It's good. I mean, like, when I worked out and people are like, oh, don't lift too heavy. You're going to hurt yourself or you're going to get injured or you're going to do this, you're going to do that. And he's like, you need to go harder. You need more reps. You need this. Like, you're doing this wrong. Tweak your arm like this, And I'm like, all right, perfect. And I'm like, keep coaching me through that. Like, keep pushing me. Keep telling me when my arm's in the wrong position or whatever. What exercise I should be doing. He knows a ton about fitness. And again, like when I was talking about surrounding yourself with the right people, it's like, yeah. You're going to hang out with that guy, probably get a little more beefy.
Something's bound to rub off, right?
Exactly. It can't hurt,
No, that's awesome. And Zach's an awesome guy. Like I was, I didn't know when he answered the door when I shot his one house. I'm like, no idea what he was going to be like. And he is super nice guy. And I think he's going to be a huge asset to your team.
He already put his first deal under contract in like a week. So it was like, it's incredible. And again, I feel like everybody on our team is extraordinary in their own way,
awesome. Yeah.
And it's just, it's exciting for me because I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Like this team's going to be awesome. Like it's going to really
keeps you fired up too.
Yeah. It's going to really help a lot of people. It's really what it comes down to if I channel them in the right way.
No, totally agree. All right. So we got a couple more things. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. But let's get into real estate investing. So I know that's a big piece of what you do for yourself. That's one of the things that I'm looking to start doing myself in 2024.
I know a guy can help you.
If I got $1 for every time I heard that one in this business. How is real estate investing for everyone? Can it be, or can it be for everybody? But before you answer that, tell us a little bit about how long you've been doing it and what you're doing.
Sure. I bought my first house when I was 26 as a fixer-upper. I had no idea what I was doing and lost money. I ended up having to rent it out for negative cash flow when I got divorced, and sort of learned that it's not a no-brainer to invest in real estate. You need to know what you're doing. And then when I sort of rediscovered it again, and there was just all these little pings. Like there was a boss I had when I worked at GEA, and he had bought and sold like 22 properties, and he took me to one that he did in Florida, and I watched him buy it and sell it and make like $100,000 in a year. And I was just like, I'm working for like 70 grand, and he just did that one thing and made $100,000. And I'm like,
light bulb.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, I need to learn this. And my one friend, Matt Gibbons, was also always really talking about it. And there's just, and then when I got licensed, and then I heard about Steve Seymour, who I knew from high school, had really succeeded and was flipping a ton of houses and knew a lot about real estate investing. I was just like, oh, like that's who I need to be near. Like that's what I need to learn from. So I just. And
how many properties did you have to do before you felt like you had a handle on doing it?
Maybe just starting to feel like that now, more that it's more like normal thing to do. It's still. I feel like every project pushes me a little bit more forward. Like I take on a little bit more challenge and a little bit more, maybe a higher renovation cost and more things I need to fix and things like that.
What is, totally agree that it's something you can screw up and hurt yourself.
Yes.
So what, preparation, books to read, podcast to watch, what or anything like that, what would be one thing you would tell people is a good place to start getting ready to get into the world of real estate investing?
Well, it's interesting. I'll do like, when I have somebody coming in, I'll do like an hour consult, and anybody watching this could reach out to me, and I'm happy to do that with them and just go through like their situation. I think it's just understanding there's, the fundamentals of it, because there's so many podcasts and there's so many things, but it's simple but hard, really, is the truth. I don't know that I read like a book or one thing. Like Rich Dad Poor Dad obviously is an important book just to understand owning assets is important, and that being an employee is good, but like
can working with a savvy real estate investor put you in a fairly safe situation for your first one?
Yeah, I think if that agent is ethical.
Okay.
I would say like,
and are there agents, like if you were to work with a real estate investor, will you help them past purchasing the property in the process? Because I think that's where, like just an agent could be ethical or not. But if they just help me purchase the property, now what do I do next?
Right.
I'm still screwed. So do you work with people in that respect and guiding them? Yeah,
I do. And sometimes they listen to me and sometimes they don't, which is interesting. Because I'm like, hey, like what's going on with your project? And like, hey, like you should hire this person to do it. And they hire someone else to do it. And then they go, oh, this other person has screwed me. And I'm like, okay, like, I was trying to warn you that this is a minefield. So, overall, like I'll take somebody through the whole process from like, hey, you have to have a want and a desire. If you have that desire, then I can get you through the rest of it. I cannot give you the desire to do it, right? And there's fear involved. There's a lot of things that people have. It just seems like a mountain that they don't know how to climb, And then it's like, all right, well, let's get the ropes. I'm going to teach you how to climb. Watch me climb. You can watch me do it. Then you can do it, So I take clients through every step of the process. And guide them with contractors, and then we have real estate investor meetups that they can attend too.
I sat in on one of those. Seem very. It's definitely something to check out. Now, where do you post those if somebody wants to find out when those are going on?
It's called the VRA Realty Investor Meetup. It's on meetup.com. You can also go to the Rob Lawrence team. We post those events every month.
Yeah. If you haven't been to one and you just want to get an idea of what it's like or what type of things you're around. I mean, there's a lot of good information that flows.
Yeah, maybe I'll do a seminar again. I mean, I think it's so important just to understand the very fundamental aspects of investing.
it shouldn't be something. It's not easy. You have to be smart about it. But would you say that it has been worth it?
Absolutely, it's been worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, that's something that I mean, I think with somebody like you, if I was working with you, one, I'd feel like I'm in.
I don't know who
hands.
else is going to help you.
I guess they can now, right? But I feel like somebody would be in good hands. With like that, but also it's something you can kind of get excited about. I mean, if it's not gonna be easy, but I mean the benefits I think far outweigh the cons if you're willing to put in the work.
Yeah, I mean, it's a growth process like anything else.
Like anything.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, like it's like going to college, right? Like, well, that's hard, and graduating from college is hard, and it costs money, and it costs, different things. So it's like sometimes people are like, well, how much did you make on your first flip? And I'm like, well, how much did you pay to go to college? And then they stop after that. But like, you know what I mean? There's a process to it. I've helped, I would say at least a dozen people go from I don't know what I'm doing to I'm an investor now. And Zach being one of them, in a sense, like he had some rentals. He knew he wanted to do it, but like I think he really got real success when we did his live and flip in Ardmore, which we shot a video on.
Yeah, made
$140,000. That's life-changing money for someone right there. Yeah. And then moving forward, through it.
No, that's awesome. And I mean, I think it's very cool. We had to we were able to get some eyes on your latest project, which I think is pretty cool. And I think you're going into that and what you're doing. I mean, I think you're really attacking the project and it's kind of like in a good way. I mean, it seems like you kind of, with that, you at least know what it's supposed to look like and all that kind of thing. And I think you're kind of, it's pretty neat to watch.
Yeah, that's an important part of the process actually for me with clients is I take them to projects I'm doing or my other clients are doing so that they can experience what it smells like and feels like and tastes like,
What does it smell like, Rob?
It usually smells bad. But it might not smell that bad. Maybe it's just dusty. But like you're looking at like, oh my God, there's rotting wood and there's termites and there's this and there's that and the tub's rusted out and it doesn't feel great like when you see it, but like after you had that experience and you're like, oh, like this is what happened, and then I'm watching, Rob do this. Okay, it's sort of like monkey see, monkey do, right? Like you do what you're around, you do what seems normal for other people around you. So you start surrounding yourselves with people that are doing investing. Then you start seeing and you ask questions, and you definitely have to come in with a humble attitude about it and just try to learn. So that's the thing that I see when I see people succeed. And I think the more humility they display, the faster they succeed. I think Zach was really, really excellent. That was probably one of his biggest talents was just, I don't know what I'm doing and I need to learn. I mean, he literally didn't know how to use a screw gun, like, and screw a floorboard down. Right.
Yep.
So it's like, and now he's doing a second flip and it should be at least $100,000 gain. And Nice. It was just like, boom.
And probably as you go along and get better at it, you're probably your return is probably going to increase.
Yeah, and we can all choose what games we play in life. What do we decide to get good at, right? Are you going to get really good at playing World of Warcraft? Are you going to get really good at lifting weights? Are you going to get really good at flipping houses? Are you going to get really good? Which one pays more?
Fair enough.
What prize do you win at the end of your journey? So there's a lot of hard
journeys. Which one makes more sense to do right now? Because you can always go take up World of Warcraft later, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, well, also, honestly, this is a topic you could probably talk on all day about. But
sure.
Maybe we could save that for a future podcast.
Absolutely, I'm happy to talk again.
So, real briefly, in marketing, how have you always been as big on the marketing from the beginning of your career? How important is it to what you're doing now? And where do you plan on going in that realm?
Yeah. So I would say like, I enjoy marketing because I don't enjoy like bothering people. I enjoy putting out what I'm doing and seeing who reflects back and comes to me. So, and then helping those people. So I kind of like putting a lot of stuff out there because I don't like making those phone calls like, hey, like, do you know anybody who's buying or selling? Like, or, hey, like, do you want to sell your house? Or, making those calls, like, to me, it's just not something I enjoy. So I put probably 10 times as much work into trying to market myself and market what we're doing. And really, that's just explaining to people what we do and how we're doing it and how we can help them, and then having those people reflect back.
Are you seeing it pay off for you?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, like, when you guys shoot videos for me for like a listing, like, you best believe the next listing appointment I'm going into, I'm showing them the video that I just shot 100%. And how great it is, and all that.
I always tell people that it's like, yes, you may be doing a property and it may not require all the bells and whistles, but even if it doesn't, if you do it, think of it also as an investment in your marketing of yourself, and that stuff will help you win future listings.
Yeah, and I also would say, again, put yourself in the shoes of the seller, and to that seller, that property is very important.
100%.
Every single one of the ones that we sell are very important to the people that own them. Yep. So it's like, I'm not gonna pull back.
Well, a lot of people will say, "Oh, we do this, and this for our clients," and then they'll go, and because the client's house is in a certain price point, they're like, "Oh, we, we're treating you like you're our top client." Yeah. But then because your property isn't $1 million or whatever it would be, they choose to do the absolute bare minimum when probably that client has seen the cool stuff you've done for your higher end listings. How are they going to feel? Like, hey, am I getting the shaft?
I mean, and like sometimes there's a property where it's not appropriate to shoot a video just because that's not going to help sell that particular property because of what it is. Right. Maybe an investment property or something along those lines. Or like doing a drone shot, for example, in the heart of Delco might not really be to the advantage of selling that property or something like that. So it's just about.
We love you, Delco.
We do love Delco. I love Delco.
Born and raised.
Say that. But I just think sometimes again sometimes it's you got to fit the media to the property. But I always think that whatever you should be doing, you're doing 100% of what's right to sell that property for that owner.
Level of service.
Exactly. A great video and a showy video might make sense if the house is just not in very good condition, and then it almost seems ridiculous that you're doing like, welcome to this beautiful home, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, you need to take that as, hey, welcome to this great investment, kind of thing, and have
the bag of tricks and choose which ones are best to market that specific property.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Exactly. Always try to do your best. We run Facebook ads for every listing that we do, and make sure that we try to get 10,000 eyes on it before we see. We have a marketing plan,
One thing I want to ask you about your social media and do it. So I know that you put out a lot of content and I know it's working for you, but the one thing that I see a lot of people not doing is actually spending time engaging with the people who are engaging with their stuff. They're like, okay, I got eyeballs now, but then they don't spend 20 minutes to answer comments and stuff like that. Do you do that? Do you is it a built into your business point to do that? And how valuable do you think interacting with your audience is?
I think that it really comes into play with my sphere of influence, that when they are seeing my content and they're talking to me just person to person about what's going on with this, or like, I watch your projects, they're really cool, like, oh yeah, would you be interested in doing something like that? Sometimes the random internet comments are not very fruitful, like just random people. Sure. But like I would say with my sphere, like I look at Facebook or Instagram as a great way to just stay connected with people I know and love, and just like look at what they're doing, they're looking at what I'm doing, and it's a two-way street a lot of the time. So sure. I think like engaging in social media, I always say, like, if you want punches in the face, go hand out punches in the face. You'll get punched, right? Yep. Like, if you want people to talk to you, talk to them, right? Yep. Like, if you want people to celebrate you, celebrate them. So like, it's just a matter of like what you're putting out there. So like engaging with people, like I said, like do the marketing, see who's engaging. Like I was just talking to one of my teammates about this exact thing. He was like, yeah, someone asked me about like, how did you get this deal for this person? And then he said, oh, I did this, this, and this. And I was like, did you say like, do you want to do a deal? Yeah. He's like, no, I didn't say that. Should I say that? I was like, you should say that. Yeah. Right? Because it's like, they're sort of raising their hand and saying like, I'm interested in what
Mm-hmm.
you're doing, and like I would like to do the same thing myself. And it's like, okay, great, and then you can start having that conversation.
It is a and that's a good way to put it. And it's a conversation starter.
Right.
And if you don't, like, you're spending time and money to create your marketing in a lot of people's cases, but then you don't look at it. Like, I see, it's like, go in there. People are paying attention to you now. Like, you have to trade off of that attention, you know?
Yeah, it is important, and I would say the main thing that the video and everything has just been like engaging with people I know has been the real value of it, and they can see that I have expertise in the area. They can see what I'm doing. They can see the success I'm having for others. You know, those things like, you know, proof of success I think is very important on social media. Just showing people, hey, here's what we're doing. We're winning for people. Like, we would like to win for you. You know, that kind of thing.
It's 2024.
Yes, sir.
There's a bunch of negativity and also, I would say, crazy predictions and things people are saying about the real estate market for 2024. What are you hearing? What is in the Rob Lawrence team crystal ball for 2024?
You know, I'm always looking at what's in my control and what's out of my control, right? So interest rates are out of my control. You know, what if an asteroid hits the earth, it's out of my control. Who gets elected, out of my control. Like, you know, there's just a bunch of stuff that's not in my control. So really what I just focus on and what I encourage other people to focus on is, what can you control this year? How hard you work, who you connect with, how good of a job you do. You know, like, oh, it's a bad time to buy a house. I'm like, for who? What deal are you talking about?
Right.
Right? Like,
subjective.
what agent did you hire to help you? Where's your mindset? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe it's hard? Okay, then it is. Right?
Yeah.
Do you believe it's fun?
Mindset.
Then it is. Right? So it's, you know, for 2024, the big thing I think is just turn off all the noise and get to work. And what happens with interest rates will happen. I mean, my belief is that we'll see a rise in prices, and probably between like 4 to 10%, which is higher than almost every expert is forecasting. I think interest rates will dip more than every expert is forecasting. And I think the market will really come back alive. Zillow says there's going to be like less transactions than ever in 30 years. I think there'll be more than in 2023. But yeah, I mean, like, my main thing is just like, hey, whatever happens in 2024, you know what I mean? Like, unless I get shot in the head or something, that's going to be a bad year. But like,
Why would you say that?
Other than that, you can't stop me.
Yeah. But no, I think that's a good way to look at it. We're excited, and you know, I'm a big believer in hard work, and just work in general pays off. If you show up, you don't lose until you quit.
Every year there's somebody buying a good deal, there's someone buying a bad deal. Every year there's someone that sells their house poorly and well.
And perspective on whether it's a deal or not doesn't always come down to the price.
Right. Even the terms matter, what, you know, everything. But like, and it matters how that property fits in with what matters to you. Right. You know, it's all about, like, you know, what fits your life, and getting the right house for that person is super important. And selling a house right is super important, all that kind of stuff.
No, I think that's awesome. All right. So that's pretty much it. So let's close this out with your best piece of dad advice.
My best piece of dad advice. Oh, I would say just love your kids.
Okay.
I would say just be loving to them, and as best you can. And I would say the other thing is, if you get really mad, just step out. You know, don't act in anger towards them.
It's good advice. I like it. All right. That's episode 1. Holy crap. I think it went pretty well. Let us know what you think down in the comments, and get ready for round 2.
Brian, thank you for having me, man.
Thanks,
episode
Rob.
1
Absolutely.
of 10,000.
From your mouth to God's ears. Cool.
All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate you taking the time to do it with me. Really do.